Welcome to the Checkered Shorts Podcast, a podcast of three fraternity brothers reconnected by their love of IndyCar. Join us for grid-rival IndyCar fantasy talk, predictions for upcoming races, and reactions to race day results and all things IndyCar. Let's go racing! Hey, welcome back to episode number 30 of Checkered Shorts. Been on a little bit of a hiatus because we traveled to the Iowa. One of the few travelers to Iowa. So, episode 30, what do we have associated with the number 30, Professor Dinwiddie?
Yeah, so when I thought about 30, what jumped out at me was probably my favorite IndyCar livery of all time, was the number 30 Domino's Pizza of Arie Luyendyk. Back in 1990, he won the 500, and I'll never forget that livery as a, gosh, what was I? A 15-year-old kid sitting at 500, just a red, white, and blue, really cool livery. And I always remember that white 30 on the nose cone of that. So Arie, two-time Indy 500 champion. He's known for that, but he's probably most notably known for running the 237 mile per hour qualifying lap at the Motor Speedway, which to this day still stands as the fastest around that course. So we got the opportunity this weekend to listen to a little Q&A, and I'd never seen Arie in that light, and he was pretty funny. Really enjoyed getting his insights on some things in that Q&A that we listened to. So number 30 goes to Arie Luyendyk.
Arie, good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, that Q&A was one of the more entertaining parts as well of the weekend, getting to go to see those things when you're in person. You don't get to see those things on television. And then we scooted from there down to see interview with some of the Chevy guys. And so, got to see Pato and Lundgaard, and then Malukas and Ferrucci show up. And there was some fun banter between them as well. It was fun to see the personalities shine like that. You see them on TV sometimes with interviews, but they were cutting up, having a fun time. And that was pretty enjoyable too.
Yeah.
So first impressions of our fourth consecutive trip to Iowa. First three with a lot of fanfare and pageantry and a lot of fun. I can't say that from my perspective it was any less fun because we got to go cut up with each other, enjoy the weekend. That's always the highlight. But definitely missed some of the crowd that was brought out potentially by the concerts and the concerts themselves. So it made for a unique event, something special for Iowa.
Yeah, we had to create our own fun this time a little more than what we've, had to do in the past. So, but still an enjoyable weekend for us. Good racing. I mean, I'll put that out there first of all. The on-track action was the best much better than last year. I think that they're moving in the right direction with the new package. The track's starting to come back. But the fan experience, the other things outside of the track action, we're really lacking this year. I think we all kind of expected that going in.
Yeah, it was fun, super fun. I still had a great time. The racing was better, which was the main point for me. A lot better than last year, by far. Drivers said it, TV said it, fans have said it. So that's the number one. And I think IndyCar did what they could do for getting. I mean, they got the rug pulled out from underneath them by Hy-Vee with doing so much, and it is in February that no, we're not doing this. So kudos to IndyCar and the Souk Up. I said that about 50 times over the weekend to put something together as best as they could. I think for what it was, the racing was at a highlight, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen more fans in the stands.
Yep.
I think we could have counted them between us.
Yep.
I think I saw an estimate of 6,000 fans. It holds 30. So that's for both days. That's pretty disappointing, but those 6,000 got a good show.
I agree with that.
Yeah, we did a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking while we were sitting in the grandstands of how we could have made the event better. One of the things was they really saturated those past couple of years with amazing acts, multiple acts before and after races on each day. And, how could they have maybe pulled off one show with some act that maybe even wasn't as big as the acts that we saw in the past? Probably a tough pull to get Kenny Chesney and Tim McGraw and Post Malone and Ed Sheeran and all of them were all marquee, carry their own, fill a stadium on their own. But could they have come with like a B level rock show or country show that could at least cap off one of the nights? And Brian, you referenced it several times. They got those lights on that track for a reason. It makes for great television, but it also makes for a great fan experience, especially in the throes of July, to have a night race potentially.
I mean, night race there just makes a lot of sense, right? From the racing action, when the track cools down, you get better action. Those cars look amazing on that track anyway because of the speed that they're carrying around that short track. But you put that at night and those liveries just really pop. It gives you that opportunity for some entertainment before and after. You throw some fireworks in there, and we can talk about is there a need for a doubleheader? We know that the owners don't like double headers. I know fans do because you get 2 for 1 when you get there, but I'd almost give that up for a Saturday night, light under the lights race. And may or may not need some entertainment then if you've got a Saturday night race where you can drive in on Saturday morning, you can get up Sunday and head home. You're back for work on Monday. I know a lot of that has to do with Fox and the network and TV time and those kind of contractual pieces. But that would be my wish is I would love to see them come back to Iowa again, just especially now that I know they've got that track in a way that they can race it. But let's get out there and throw them under the lights.
I mean, Pat did make a good point. Indy's control of the time, a lot of times, is all based off television. And so, we're going to have that pushed by Fox if that's going to happen. We also brought our good friend Ryan Mad Dog Maddox along with us. And he's quite the aficionado of movies and music. So every time we'd hear someone or think of someone, they say, what were Bare Naked Ladies doing this weekend?
Yeah.
And so, even a good Alabama cover band, we'd take them on.
Any cover band would have been good. I would have listened to it all night. You know what I mean?
Something you could sing along with for sure. Because they had 3 Iowa acts there, but they were acts that, I mean, unless you followed them specifically, you really had no idea who they were.
Right. But overall, good racing, good hanging out with the boys, the Econo Lodge and the American Grill. None of that changed. If it might have gotten a little bit better. So
yeah, we had a great time. It was fun coming in because we're anticipating getting there. It's just like being a kid again. You're like first day, first night. You're there to have a great time, and you do. But we're watching the weather the whole time, and I'm sure a lot of fans got a lot of traction with the tornado photos from the track. We had family members, friends reaching out to us. You guys okay? You safe? We drove through some of that, just miles shy of Newton. But we arrived after, and all the events for Friday night were canceled. So we just settled into American Legends Bar and Grill, and they had our seat saved for us. Thank you to Amber and Jessica. And much to Sandy's disappointment, we showed up as always, but they had reserved us a spot, which was much appreciated.
Yep, that was great.
So let's get into the racing then. I think people have talked in circles about Iowa and what they can do with the event. And we just hope that if they stay, there's something to improve it and something that would draw us to make that 6.5 hour drive. And then that's just to Speedway, Indiana, just straight there from IMS. But, Maddox and I got a little extra driving on top of that. So, make it a good draw so that we can continue to come.
That's right.
Yeah, I think overall, the drivers everybody was in question how these races were going to go. Even after the test, they still weren't sold on the fact that it's not going to be like last year. So four of us, even Mad Dog, was like, how's this racing going to be? And I mean, on Dixon's interview on Connor's, he was like, man, this place used to be really, really, really fun to race. He's like, after last year and this year, I'm not as excited. He's since changed his tune, but it took a little bit of time. I think everybody was a little bit weary those first few, probably 50 laps on the first race. The high line wasn't quite there. Guys were nervous to go up to the high line, but it started to develop and really started to become the racing we like to watch, and that's why we like to go to the ovals. It started to you could really see that transition at about 50, 75 laps, I think.
But
Yeah, that weariness probably intensified when they all watched someone who they all respect, Scott McLaughlin, just lose it between turns 1 and 2 in his qualifying laps.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which made for one hell of a story later, right?
Sure.
That was awesome.
Absolutely. But it's funny because you heard Will Power say after race 1, he thanked Connor Daly for showing him that high line. So I was rewatching the race today, and I know exactly why Will said that, because Connor went blowing by him about 50 the race, and Will was like, "Oh, I see." He looks over to the right. He's like, "Oh, I see. We can go high now." So Connor made that first move of the day to get up to the high side,
and it only got better. Throughout that night, and then Sunday, the racing only got better. So I think kudos to IndyCar for figuring out, and Firestone for figuring out the tire a little bit and the downforce. And then that track it just needs to age a little bit more to get it to where it needs to be. So hopefully they'll at least get one there next year. 2 is definitely out of the question, it sounds like. So hopefully we can still stick to 1. But
overall, I thought the 2 days, obviously your short oval guys really showed out. We expected that. Anybody in the Penske camp, they performed well over the weekend. Pato did what he does on short ovals. Daly and Ferrucci, the short oval experts, Malukas, throw him in there as well. Those are the guys we expect to run well, and they did for the most part. You got to throw those guys into the group if we want to talk about who impressed us this weekend. Those guys are there. But who did you guys think were, as drivers, who impressed you this weekend?
I mean, go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take the obvious one, which is Scott McLaughlin, because coming from not being able to finish his qualifications and having to start in the back of the pack, he was just a man possessed in a brand new car that hadn't been tested on that track. And really I think he even said, they handed me the keys and said, go out there and give them hell. None of us know what is going to happen here, so just drive it hard. And he did. He did.
One of the most disappointing parts of the weekend was when he got wrecked that second race early on. We're like, oh no, we wanted to watch him come from the back again.
Yeah.
Because he has a fast car. He's going to pass the Jacob Abels sort of thing, and the Louis Fosters probably pretty easily. But once he gets with the big boys, that's when some real racing. He still had just as good of a car. That was the disappointing part on Sunday. But
yeah,
you got to put Joseph in there. He finally showed what all those Chevys on that first race, all of them do. I mean, from Pato, Newgarden, Power, McLaughlin, they all needed that. 1, 2, and 3, and 4.
Yeah, the King of One Country showed up again. He may not have gotten to victory lane in either race, but he was the best car in both those races.
100%. Pato straight up beat him.
Keith, I know, but Newgarden led 250 laps of that first race.
Right. Pato straight up beat him. And then the second race, Newgarden, I just think, that's just a racing luck. I think part of that. But Newgarden was probably the biggest show for me. He did it. I'll give Connor Daly a shout out. He was racing at the top. I think his pits, he just doesn't have the pit team that, a Ganassi or Penske has. But he was up there top 3, top 5-ish for most of the race. And I think it just kind of dwindled down. You lose even a half a second to these guys on pit lane, you're going to end up seventh. And he got caught in that yellow too with all the other Chevys in the second race. But I think those two stand out for sure.
Yeah, I'll throw Christian Rasmussen in there.
Yeah, huge, really big.
He's had an unbelievable second half of the season, and in both races this weekend, and he's got a nice little new reputation too. I don't know if you guys saw the TV broadcast, but he roughs them up around there.
I didn't know that.
Into it, a couple others, but he fires it in there, and again, he went from deep in the field to just outside of podium finish on Saturday, and was heading back up in there again on Sunday. So not afraid to stick his nose in, and he was decorated coming up through the ranks. So as much as this is a surprise to us, it probably shouldn't be. But kudos to him for a great weekend.
Yeah. So then, okay.
Keith and I mentioned it 5 or 6 times throughout both races. Is Armstrong.
Yeah.
He's just Mr. I mean, he's not a oval driver, and he finished 9th and then 3rd, right?
Yeah, he was on the podium.
So just a lot of Scott Dixon-esque.
Mm-hmm.
Just drives there. He'll get his win by just keeping his nose clean and running hard. He'll get his win, but he didn't make mistakes. He was just easy on the throttle and easy on the steering wheel. And lo and behold, probably his best weekend ever in IndyCar.
Yeah.
So it was cool just to see him methodically get through the weekend unscathed. So
yeah, so who disappointed? There's got to be some way. You saw some guys have good weekends. You saw some guys in the mix, and whether it was by dumb luck, they ended up higher. I mean, Jacob Abel finished his highest finish on Sunday. Yeah. I think he benefited a little bit from the Chevy's pitting prior to the caution, but I think it put him either in the top 10 at 10 or at 11. I can't remember exactly.
I think he ended up 11th.
11th. Yeah. But that's big. It's a big deal for a guy like him.
There's a big one. Dinwiddie, go ahead.
Yeah, disappointment-wise, I mean, you got to go with Kyle Kirkwood, don't you? Yeah. I mean, put it in the wall twice over the weekend, once in the morning warm-up and then again Saturday evening. And then Sunday just didn't have it, just was on the struggle bus all day. And when you're sitting second in points and with 3 wins on the year, and you're really, one of the only challengers to Pelot this season, like you can't have a whole weekend like Kyle had. And, I don't know how much of that was impacted by that wreck on Saturday, but wow, just a really disappointing performance for Kirkwood this weekend.
Yeah, it was on Connor Daly's. He was sort of upset because the yellow that caused everybody to lose their laps. I think it was either Kirkwood or Herta because of their blown tire. And he was like, hey, listen, like we're all prepped on how long these tires can go and the heat that these tires can take. And he's like, I'm not saying it, but he was like, I wish they wouldn't have done that, like taking those tires to the limit. So tough weekend for Herta or for Kirkwood. And then I want to say it, Rossi.
Yeah.
Just what are we doing? What are we doing?
Because the car's got it. He's in a Chevy.
Yes.
If Rasmussen's doing it, and Rossi's been a short oval guy, that's a good point, Pat.
25th and 17th. 25th and 17th. Give me a 10th and a 17th, and I'll still probably call you out. But what are we doing? That's piss poor performance. I mean, that's what Connor Daly got fired from Ed Carpenter Racing for results like that. So
I don't think Rossi's going anywhere.
No, he's not, but terrible. That's my disappointment.
Maybe Arrow was disappointed in his finishes last year and thought that someone could do better in that number 2 car.
Well, that was the story. Like, okay, Andretti, okay, that's over. Let's go to Arrow. Let's see what he can do. Nothing.
Well, is that another disappointment? Because I had him on my list as Christian Lindgaard. Like we've talked about it. The guy on road courses is pretty impressive, but you put him on an oval and he doesn't know what he's doing.
It's really weird how that mindset and how that is.
I believe on Sunday. I believe on Sunday he benefited from the caution as well, and I think he finished. higher than you might expect.
I'll tell you.
On Saturday, no. On Sunday, I think.
6th.
Yeah.
Did he
Probably
really? I would not have expected that. I didn't see that at all.
He was probably on Pato's same hit sequence and everything. Hey, just do what Pato does.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got him 6th, so
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't see
the
that.
3rd highest Chevy.
But you were right. He pretty well disappears whenever you get to the short oval.
I mean, right. You still have arguably, if you could say, 2nd best equipment, if not 3rd. You're qualifying like 21st. Like, come on. You know what I mean? You're good enough to put that thing in the top 15 in qualifying, top 12 in qualifying. Got to set yourself up a little bit more. But no, Dinwiddie's been saying a long time. And we had him higher up when it was street course and road course heavy. I think all 3 of us had him up, top 5-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
Dinwiddie was like, well, let's just wait and see when these ovals come about. And sure enough, he's slowly digressing. But whatever. Still a good race car driver.
I would like to break each race down slightly. I don't want to go too in depth. We want to stick to our format. But if each of us just share something from race 1 that either had an impact on you, it could be good, bad, somewhere in the middle. Maybe the most exciting part for you, or one of the things that I was disappointed to see was Nolan Siegel, who I thought since the addition of who was it that was added to the team, his strategist.
Oh, Con Moyer.
Yeah, since Moyer's been there, you can tell it's had an impact, and he actually qualified very well, and he was running pretty well on Saturday, and it was late in the race that he had his accident, and that accident caused him to be put out of the race on Sunday, and McLaren just chose not to even run the car. Probably was just short setup. I don't know what all goes into that decision, but to me that was kind of a disappointment because I was anticipating him, kind of being somewhere in the mix there and doing something good for himself.
Yeah, he had a good race Saturday. I think it was fun to watch him. He's still 19, man. I'm trying to whip these things around. So he's on a good team. He's figuring it out. So no, you're right. We did miss him on Sunday for sure.
I'd be concerned though if I'm him. I want to get back in that car as quick as I can.
Yeah.
Linus Lundqvist sitting there and in that paddock now. Because we know how talented that guy is, and we've got street and road courses coming up, which is where Lundqvist tends to shine. So,
and Arrow McLaren is not known for their patience.
No, not at all. Ask David Malukas about that.
See, my highlight was when all 4 of us were sitting together, but Keith and I were sitting together when Pato got Newgarden on the outlap and held him off. That was usually it's hard to see those things on an oval because you're watching a lot of the other racing. And you can easily lose track of where's the leader and who's in 5th. Super, super, super easy. And we watched that. All right, Newgarden came in. Okay, here comes Pato. Okay, is he going to beat him? And it was like by a hair. And he held him off going into turn 2, and it was super cool. Yeah. And then he held him off again after the other guy. So that was my best racing part experience. Pretty exciting stuff.
Well, he held him off after the red and the yellow.
Yes.
So coming off the pits, he held him off. Coming off the red, he held him off. And then coming off that last – I was really concerned with the last caution. And I read something after that, they always put out who had the fastest lap. And Pato ran the fastest lap of any racer on the last lap, which I assume he needed every bit of it to maintain that position.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really good.
I'm going to go off the wall here, which is not atypical for me. But I'll combine race 1 and race 2, something that maybe people didn't see. Callum Ilott, and you guys know I'm a fan. He was making a lot of passes. I know he was deep in the field, but in both races at one point, he was passing a car per lap. And I know in both cases, he ended up putting on the wall. But for a guy who's kind of, I would say he's racing for a job for next year, he was sticking his neck out there. And I thought that I need to be commended for that. And he was fast. Callum showed some speed. I thought Prema both Prema cars this weekend showed some speed with he and Schwartzman at different times. So kudos to Prema there. I just
Schwartzman got ninth, I think, in that second race.
Who was that? Schwartzman? Yeah,
Schwartzman got ninth. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a win for that team, man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For not knowing anything about IndyCar, having the money to do it, but then putting it together, totally two different things. So, no, I agree.
Anything from race 2 that stuck out to you? We'll start with you, Brian.
Well, race 2. I thought, knowing that Pato and Joseph are the king and Jack or Prince of
So don't call him the queen. Come on, man.
the king and Prince of Corn Country. I thought David Malukas really stood up to both of them really well this weekend in both races. I know he finished down the order in Saturday's race, but in Sunday's race, I think he was the best car. I really do. I definitely think Pelot wasn't, but I think that if it would have been a battle, I think Malukas might have gotten Newgarden in a one-on-one. I think he came out of that last stop ahead of Joseph. So I was really impressed with David in that second race.
Well, Newgarden kind of fell in the last after the caution restart, and we kind of asked what was up with that. What happened coming out of the pits, or did he just fall? He was trying to push hard, and I think Malukas and Pato undercut him, and both got by him on between coming out of turn 2 or something. And from there, though, Malukas and Pato took off because they all had to climb back from that situation where they pitted just before the caution, and then they get stuck out there when everyone else gets to caution under pit, and they're racked up there in the middle of the pack.
I think Sunday, Saturday, we talked about this, how Chevy's known for their power and over Honda. And that showed on Saturday. It was pedal to the metal, not too worried about gas. Go for it, guys. Sunday turned into you're going to have to stop Chevys because you don't have the gas mileage. That's why the Honda stayed out, whichever one you want to say. And that's what got them that race win. Now, it's a racing why, what happened. And the Chevy still could have been towards the front. But it's that Honda gas mileage that let Pelot, Dixon, Armstrong stay out on that stint longer. And the yellow dropped, and it screwed everybody behind them. So it turned into a gas mileage race.
And we left the grandstand saying, man, if there were 15 or 20 more laps to that race, it was probably going to get really interesting because those guys with more power were charging. They didn't have quite enough time to make a full charge at it.
Yeah, new tires. Yeah, new tires, full gas tank, 25 to go. Would have been sweet. Would have been real awesome. Because then people, like we talked about, people are going to hang it out there. They want to win. They don't want to see Pelot win. I don't care if I maybe wreck or get a little too sketchy. I'm going for it. So would have been cool.
The Kelly Landscaping Award for this week? What do we got here?
Man, well, I do have to tell our viewers, our listeners, it is a little bit harder to pick these people out when you're in the race. I will say that on the first time, we were pretty much right in front of Herta. He did, on Saturday, have to jack his car back up. So there's a nominee. What were the others, guys?
Connor Daly lost a lot of positions pretty much every time he came down the pit until the last day on Sunday when he actually gained a couple spots. I don't know what the change in protocol was there, but pretty much all weekend, anytime he came into the pits, he knew he was going down 2 or 3.
And I'll just throw a nominee out, like in that second race, everybody else except for Pelot, Dixon, and Armstrong that decided to pit early because those guys staying out, the strategy calls, at those, and that's all Ganassi, right? Armstrong's even a Ganassi connection. So what did Ganassi know that others didn't on that last pit stop? But
gamesmanship.
I think it's worth considering.
And what about Newgarden on Saturday though? He goes into the pit and allows Pato to come in later, and then get that run out of the pit and take the
point.
lead. Pato had to race hard and raced well, and he did win that race. But if he had to try to overtake that race from the second position, I think it's Newgarden on the top of the podium.
Oh, easy. I think it was that in and out lap for both of them, and then I haven't seen the replay, and I don't know if it was even shown, but there was a slight bobble on Newgarden, and that's, hey man, your time to shine. You're Corn King. That's who gets it for me is Joseph. Not only did he do it on Saturday, he did it Sunday too, with pitting too soon. Whether really because he had to, there's stories that they did, and then there's stories that we want to get off these fresh tires or these old tires to get fresh tires for these last 25. So, Joseph, man, you get the Kelly Landscaping, stamp it, shit pit of the week.
There you go. He found his way to victory lane.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. The prestigious shit pit.
I bet he didn't show up for the interview for you, Pat.
No. Kevin Lee was I listened to all the podcasts this week. Kevin Lee was like, I'm gonna stop asking for him.
Yep. I heard him say that too. Like,
screw him. I don't care. He's like, if I'm forced to ask him, I will, but I'm done asking him. Hopefully I'm not in his section this week. But yeah, it's not picking up fans, man. And again, we're not a huge fan base here in IndyCar, but people want to see the first commercial of IndyCar face on Fox. They want to see that dude and quit being Mr. Grumpy, man. Like, we get it. So yeah.
One of the things I wanted to share that was rather funny at the Chevy interview was this first Pato and Lundgaard are setting up there on time, and then roll up the kids, Lucas and Ferrucci. Ferrucci hops in the back of the truck and he says, "Hey, there's Carson. There's Connor Daly's new buddy, best friend." He decided to show up. It was fun to see their sense of humor in that format of just a back and forth.
I will say to the other viewers, listen to the Pato interview with Hinch and Rossi. It makes – I've never listened to Pato like talk necessarily. It makes you like the kid that much more. Just an easygoing, fun guy. Just I always say it like with McLaughlin, just a guy's guy who wants to hang out. So it was a good interview. Really personable. Could get to know the guy. And he's a good race car driver. So.
All right. So I like the way that one wrapped up. That's going to take us into pre-race Toronto. Will be our next episode 30, another milestone, and still as fun as the first one we did. Maybe more fun because we're a little more knowledgeable. Just let it rip and have some fun. So
well, there's racing now. Remember those first 10 episodes? Are like, oh my god, this race is so boring. So we got some drama. We got some heat. What we have 5 races left.
5 to go.
That's hard to
crazy,
believe,
right? Oh my goodness. So Toronto coming up should be a doozy, and then a couple more. There only one more oval.
No, we got Milwaukee and Nashville, 2 ovals.
Nashville.
We got
Milwaukee.
Yeah, we got the finished season with 2 of those. We got a street course, 2 road courses, and then 2 ovals.
That's right. So,
all right.
Yeah, stay tuned. Appreciate everybody listening.
All right, we'll catch you next time on Checkered Shorts.
See y'all.